welcome to our member guest speaker this evening, Pascha. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you very much indeed. Rather excited about this. I feel very VIP.
Fantastic. You're looking very VIP, and you are one of our VIPs. You're amazing. For those of you who don't know, Pascha owns a very successful print and design company in York in lovely England. And Pascha's agreed to join us today to talk about a bit of her life, a bit of her business, how things have been going recently. So yeah, Pascha, where do you want to start? How about where it all began?
Oh, where it all began. Well, that was a long time ago. Yeah, Ink Dot, my family have had a design and print business since the 70s. So that's when it started, in the 70s. My dad started it in York, in a place which was called the Stonegate Arcade. Now, anybody who knows York won't know where the Stonegate Arcade is, because it's actually now New Look. So we started business in New Look's shoe department. So there we go. And it's family. And when I say it's a family business, definitely a family business. My dad owned it. My mum ran the accounts. My brother and I did hand finishing to earn our pocket money. And every week I did his weekly returns from his till. And that's how I earned 50p, grand sum. And since then, we've had pretty well every member of the family work in the business at some point. So my dad was MD, then I was MD from 2001. Then my big brother took over as MD when he came back from China. In that time, I've also worked with my other half, Darren. Huan Yen, Nick's wife, has worked in the business. My daughter's worked in the business. Nick's two eldest children have worked in the business. And not only that, but I did also employ two of my best friends from school. So when I say it was a family business, definitely was.
Wow. And I mean, I've obviously met quite a few of your other team members, and they're all like part of the family, really, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is if you go to work with a small group, there's 12 of us. And if you've got a team like that, you've got to be friends. You've got to care about each other. And if you've got that family feel to your business, you're going to go so much better. You just enjoy going to work, and you get an awful lot of love and respect from your staff. If you give them love and respect in return, it's great fun. It makes it so much nicer, and it's made the last year a lot easier.
Yeah, I bet it has. But it's been hard in some instances, but yeah, I can see certain things have been easier. So before we get more onto the future, what sort of things do you think you've taken from your dad? What's he passed on to you that you're still doing now?
Well, I mean, he's taught me so much, but one of the things he really told me about certainly dealing with clients is just to be yourself, but always be helpful and always be kind. Because people do business with people. And if you're going to work with someone, you've got to like them. You've got to like your customers, because otherwise you won't give them a good service, because you just don't want to know with them. And the important thing also is your best customers are going to be the ones that like you, because if they like you, they'll refer you to other people. They'll value what you do, they'll enjoy working with you, and they'll carry on working with you. So it really is important that when you're dealing with people, certainly when you're dealing with people face to face and you're in a service industry or producing a bespoke product, then being yourself is the easiest way for people to recognize, because you can't keep up a pretense forever. So start with that. And when you're helpful and you're kind, people like you. So that's one of the main things that we had. I mean, I'll give you an example. One of the biggest clients we ever had was a company called Welcome Financial Services. Eventually we lost them because they got bought out by Cattle. But we got them because my dad helped somebody who worked around the corner. He came in, he needed something copying immediately. And Dad went, "Yep, no problem. That's what we do. Here you go. I'll drop it round, whatever." It was 8p. So an 8p photocopy and a helpful service got us our best client, because he remembered my dad, and he went back, and when his business got bought, he used my dad for everything. And then when he got bought out by Welcome, he said, "Actually, I know a really good printer and we should talk to him about doing print for the whole group." And they went, all right, then we'll talk to him.
Wow.
And we ended up with that.
8p.
An 8p photocopy turned into, I think it was about £350,000 worth of work by the time it finished, 350 grand a year.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And are you still working with them now?
Unfortunately not, because they got bought out by Cattles, who had their own print unit. So we couldn't really compete with that one.
Right, so there was another buyout, was there, afterwards?
That was another buyout afterwards, yeah. But until they did, yes, that was it was my dad's biggest client. So you never know where it's going to come from. So yeah, be helpful and be kind, because you don't know where it'll lead.
Who else have you? What other big names have you had? You know, working that you can tell us of.
The one that I'm most proud was the York Teaching Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust. We again, that was something that came off a really small order. My dad was helping somebody in the NHS. We didn't do work for them, but they needed some advice. They knew my dad, and they said, can you just tell me about them? I can't remember what it was, but Dad said, yeah, I'll help you. And he had a chat with them, and he offered them some advice on how to get the best out of what they were spending, this, that, and the other. And then one day they phoned up and said, look, I can't do you an order, but I really need some cards. My cards haven't come through from the bespoke printer, and can you drop me some off? And Dad said, well, when do you need them? He said, well, now. I actually need them in like the next half hour. And I went, yeah, all right then, I'll do that. So that got us onto the NHS procurement system, because Dad went, I can deliver you business cards in half an hour.
Wow.
So he did that, and that made them think, again, these are people that are helpful. They'll do their best. They'll offer us a service. They'll offer us advice. They'll share their expertise. We became part of their team. And the important thing, because it's the NHS and we all love the NHS, the important thing was to help them get the most out of what they needed for their business. Because at the end of the day, it was a business, even though its service is caring for people. So we said, well, we'll do whatever we can to make sure that you get the most out of your print budget, and we'll advise you, and we'll point you towards people that can do a better job or a cheaper job or what you need if we don't do it. And once you get that trust from people and you give them expertise and offer advice and help and be part of their team, suddenly, you're their go-to guy. And so that was the NHS one that we got, which was, again, my proudest client, that one.
And you're still working for the NHS? No, right?
Still work for the NHS.
Right through COVID, haven't you?
Yeah, we still work for the NHS. Over the last year, we were their emergency supply. So we'd get phone call for like the intensive care unit saying, we need some insulin charts and we need them for tomorrow afternoon, because okay, fine, we'll drop them off. So we still do that. We do small jobs, we do massive jobs. It might be several £1,000s, it might be 50 quid. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that they know that they can phone us and say, I need some work, and we go, not a problem, we'll drop it around this afternoon.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, so I've known you now for quite a few years.
Yes.
There's one thing that I won't say that I understand what the hell you're on about, because I really don't. But you always mention this this thing that you're really pleased that you've done it and you've passed it, and you're always saying, and somebody helped you do it. This is this ISO 9001 quality management and whatever it. What is that all about? Because I know you're so proud of it when you pass it.
I am very proud of it. It's ISO 9001 quality management system and the 14001 environmental management system. I think that's what you're talking about.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And what that is it's something, it's a certification to show that we have consistent quality management systems in place so that we can give assurance for our level of quality. It's something that you have to have if you're dealing with large groups like the NHS or, government bodies. They want ISO. So the 9001 is quality management. It shows you put systems and procedures in place, which I'm big on. I'm big on systems and procedures because I am a dork. And it's continuous improvement and consistent quality. And with the environmental management system, again, it's about constantly monitoring your impact on the environment and constant improvement as to how to minimize your impact on the environment. And then putting systems and procedures in place so that you can measure and improve, and your staff know what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, to achieve a constant or better product at any one time.
Oh wow, well I'm glad I asked because I didn't have a clue what it was. But every year you always, I'm really busy because I'm doing this and I've got to get this done and I've got to, and then you're so pleased afterwards when you've got it done. It's always baffled me. I sort of get what you're on about now. You've explained it. So do you think as well that having that, so do you like have a badge that says we've got this?
Yeah. So we're allowed to say that we have an ISO 9001 and 14001.
Okay. Do you think that helps you get certain business then, because they wouldn't
Definitely.
normally look at you for not having it?
Definitely. It used to be that it was a nice to have and it made you different. Now, certainly for larger contracts and for tenders, it's a requirement because it ticks so many boxes. People who are doing those kind of investigations into your business, they could say, do you have a quality policy? Do you have a system? Do you have a procedure? Do you have a measurement? Do you have this? Or they can say, do you have ISO 9001? And if you can tick that box, they know that all of those other benchmarks that they are required to judge have already been met. They know it's all been done because you've got that management system qualification.
That makes sense, actually. Yeah. So I suppose those tick boxes that companies do have to have themselves as to do with the environmental impact and all things like that. This is another tick in the box for them, isn't it? That says, well, it's not just us doing it, our suppliers are doing it as well. So it's a second tick in certain boxes as well for them on that front.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting. So when's the next one then? Just so I'm prepared.
It may.
Right, okay. So we've got a little bit of time yet, but I'll at least I'll know what's going on. So
yeah. Well, last year was the recertification. So you have it. It's a 3-year cycle. So the first year, so every third year, you have the big audit where they check everything, and then the years in between, you just have a kind of top-up audit, as it were, to make sure that you're still following your system. So the big audit's the one where you have to review everything that you do and rewrite your systems.
I can't imagine why you enjoy doing that, you know, all the and everything. I just can't imagine you doing all that much.
Well, I'll tell you why I love systems and procedures. And this does make me a dork, but it does make sense. If you've got something, certainly in manufacturing, where you want to get to the end of the process, if you have a system and procedure which is written down, any member of staff can follow it, and you know you're going to get the right result at the end. I have systems for everything. I do the wages for our company. So once a month, I get out my how to do the wages written down sheet, and it has little tick boxes all the way down of each step I have for doing the wages. And what it means is I don't have to remember how to do the wages. It just tells me all the little checks I have to do, check that, well, the mileage rates haven't changed or the rates haven't changed, that remember how to submit any furlough claim for any staff that are off at the moment, how to upload the pension files for our pension system, all of that kind of stuff, the real-time information, everything. I've just got a little tick box. I don't have to remember. It's
that is pretty amazing, because I suppose you think about putting things in place for other people to do, but just having it to do yourself, it means it's easier for you to do. Wow, that's such a simple thing I've never even thought of, actually. Because how many times you do things, then you go, oh crap, I forgot to do that. So I've got to go all the way back and I've got to do it again, or whatever, something. That's a really good idea, actually. And I suppose as well, if you weren't there, it means somebody else can do the wages.
Yeah. They can do the wages. And I mean, even to the point where in my Word document, I have links embedded into the Word document, if it's where I have to go on the HMRC website or things like that. Just, it's almost automatic.
That's brilliant. That's amazing. So Thinking about going forward then, so we've already talked about what you've been doing in the past, etc. Now, I know for starters that one of your plans for going forward is you want to be able to work from anywhere. So I'm assuming that will include then making more of those tick lists to give other people things to do, which will be one of the things. So what else have you got already in line for the future? Is it, and is it things that you've done before that you're going to be redoing again?
Yeah, so one of the programs that we started in the last few years was looking more at government contracts and tenders and things like that. So those are the things that we've been looking at to carry on building. We've got a few contracts which have come through, which have helped us through in the last year, which have been brilliant. And we want those, they're kind of bread and butter money. They keep the business going, they keep it all ticking over, which means that Nick and I can concentrate on the customers that we actually want to deal with personally. It's so the staff can deal with the contract things, which are just basically repeat business, doesn't need any much of an input, doesn't need anything, it just keeps everything ticking over. And then the artisan stuff, for want of a better phrase, is something we can actually get our teeth into and enjoy. The lovely thing about having a small business is that you have the luxury of being able to work with individuals and being work with local businesses and being able to work with people that you consider friends. And if you've got something else that's actually paying the bill, then you've got more time to spend with the people that you actually want to help and want to do. You can also do, you know, your charity work, and we support a lot of charities, you know, mainly cancer charities through the family, because of the family history of a lot of cancer in our family. So we do a lot of work for them and we try and support those. So that's what we want to do, build up the bread and butter so we can do the nice stuff. We also ask our clients, you know, what do our clients want us to do? Because you never know when you're going to find something new coming through. Because someone says, oh, do you do such and such? I mean, one of the things that you asked me for was, I know, yeah, you, was specialist cut labels. We had a conversation about specialist cut labels. Now, we have found a lovely cutter. It is about 25 grand, but never mind. So we're trying to get that one invested because we just want to go into specialist cut labels now, just so we can do them for Empower.
And the rest of the people in the UK that can't find the blooming things, you know, it's just, yeah, that would just be an amazing toy, wouldn't it? If it wasn't quite so expensive, it might just be a nice little...
It's just going to be like a sandpit thing for us, I think.
Just play with it, really, it would be nice. But no, that's, yeah, that's going to be an interesting project in the future. Maybe when we come out of this and work gets back to normal, who knows?
Who knows?
We can sit in a pub sometime and discuss how we're going to pay for the machine. Why not? Absolutely.
But is it,
go on.
Sorry. Oh, I was going to say but it's funny. See, previously I would have just got a scalpel out and done it, because the important thing is always get inventive. We've been asked for things, and that one was an easy one. We've found a machine. I'll tell you a story. My dad, again, I've just got loads of stories about my dad. I'm really sorry, but this when he first started, and they asked for some perforated tickets. Now, my dad didn't have a perforator. But he said yes, because his motto was always the answer yes. Now, what's the question? So they said, can you do perforation? He went, yes, of course we can. Thought, I have no idea. I'm going to do some perforation. Glenda, can I borrow your sewing machine? She said yes. So my dad took my mum's Singer sewing machine into work and perforated all these tickets with a sewing machine. Sometimes you just got to get inventive. You're muted now, darling. Tracy, I've lost you. Where are you? There you are.
No, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just giggling so much. I'm speechless.
No, bless him.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So let's have a look. Before, I don't want to sort of end on this note either, and I don't want to go into it too much, but What can you tell us about how it's been through COVID and some of the things that you've had to go through, and how was it different in the first lockdown compared to now? Because as I mentioned before, you've had to stay open, haven't you? You've had to keep working. You couldn't have just shut your doors if you wanted to.
No.
Because you've had to keep a little bit of business going through, and especially for the NHS and the other services that you work for that needed stuff doing. So without getting, I don't want to get into too much nitty gritty, and I don't want it to be, you know, a sad story as it goes. None of us really need that. But how has it been for you? What have you done, and what have you learned from it, basically? And how is it different now in this lockdown to when we had the very, very first lockdown?
Well, the first lockdown was a shock for everybody. Let's be honest. And yeah, we basically, it was like going to work on a Sunday every single day. There was no audio out. The roads were very quiet. The phone stopped ringing. We had to stay open because, as I say, we do work for the NHS, and an intensive care unit needs forms. They need forms. You can't just say, well, I'm sorry, we're in lockdown. So it was myself and one other member of staff for 3 months, which was very, very odd. But I was lucky in some way because I was still going to work. You know, a lot of people weren't, you know, were just staying at home, couldn't go anywhere. So I have to be grateful that I was actually able to go to work as a supplier to the NHS. This last lockdown has been very different. The reason being is we've been able to, we've had more work because we've had another couple of contracts come on, which has been nice. But more importantly, we talked with the staff about what they wanted and how they wanted to be treated during this time. And a lot of them said they still wanted to be able to come into work at least part-time, you know, and feel useful. And I think that's been the biggest problem for most people, and certainly for us, was that people just felt useless. They couldn't do anything. They're losing their drive to do anything. So we agreed with the staff that we would allow all of them that wanted to come in to be able to come in at certain times. And we have a rota. So we don't have all the staff in at any one time. We are at most half-staffed at any one time. But it gives everybody some ability to come into work, to do some work, feel useful, get out of their house and see the world. It's got to be safe, obviously, and we don't do the hot desking we used to do, and we all have the screens, and we've got all the checks and the temperature checks and stuff like that. But it makes it feel a lot more normal and a lot nicer. And I think a lot of clients are now working round what they had before. So whereas the last lockdown, everybody was like, oh no, work's just stopped. We've all stopped. This time, we've had more people still working. They've just found a different way to work. And I think that's quite encouraging. And I think that's going to be the way forward, is that we just have to find a different way to work. But I've been better in this last lockdown. We've been busier, so it's been nicer. And
kept you going. Well, I want to say hats off to you, because I know you've been through the ringer with it, and especially in this last lockdown, your approach to it in doing what you did and just working out what the staff needed rather than just following the guidelines and doing what had to be done. Hats off to you for that, because I think that's really good leadership, and I think I saw a difference in you as to how you've been in yourself. It's obviously treated you well, being like that as well, and knowing that you've done it that way around. So yes, hats off to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well done. So how are we going to wrap this up? So what sort of tips have you got and things like that you can give us from what you've learned, from what you do in your business, that people can actually pass on?
Sure. I mean, I've got loads of little snippets and little sound bites all going around in my head, but one of the things I always tell people, and it doesn't have to be in business, this is something for life, is never tell yourself you have to do something, or that you must do something, or you need to do something. You don't have to do anything. I want to do it. or I'd like to do it, or I'll feel great when I've done that. But don't ever think I have to, because you're just telling yourself off then. Big yourself up. Don't tell yourself off. Tell yourself how great it's going to be. And I want to do this.
One. Yeah, I like that one.
So I live on. I've always found that, but you have to learn. You'll know because you've seen me at anything. I'll go to the opening of an envelope. I'll go to anything that teaches me something. The most, somebody very wise once told me that the most dangerous 2 words are "I know." Because as soon as you say "I know that," that means you've cut off learning anything else about it. Because I already know that. I don't need to learn anymore. I will never say, I don't say "I know" for anything apart from "I know I need to learn more," because you never know where that next little nugget of information is going to come from. And it could be a tiny thing, and it could be a subject you go, I could lecture on that. I know everything about that. No, you don't. Just try. You might find something.
You maybe know a lot, but these days, especially the way everything's constantly changing and going to keep changing.
Absolutely.
That's a really, really good one. Anything else?
Well, I've got this one, which is tell yourself out loud how great you are. Because if you don't tell yourself you're great, how is anybody else going to be able to tell you you're great? You know, and say it out loud. It's a weird thing. The brain is an amazing instrument. It believes what it hears. So if it comes in through your ears, you're more likely for your brain and your subconscious to say, oh, yeah, that's true. I like that. So tell yourself out loud. Don't just think it, say it. You feel a bit like an idiot when you first do it, to be fair, but find a quiet corner when nobody else can hear you, and then you'll get away with it. I like that one. Anything else you can think of that you'd like to share with us before we wrap up? I'm going to tell you a secret, actually. I'm going to tell you a secret. You know, everybody calls me the Purple Princess of Print. Yes. Purple's not my favourite colour. It's never been my favourite colour. But I'm always on brand. So in case you're wondering, and that's a top tip for anybody else, always be on brand. Everybody knows me as the Purple Princess of Print because I always wear my branding. Tell people what you do. If your logo is clever, so ink dot, too clever by half, right? Ink dot stands for incorporated dot. It's a printing term, but nobody knows that. No. So we had to put on the end design and print, because then it tells people what we do. We're all ink dot, design and print. So if your brand name doesn't tell people what you do, just add a little tagline saying, that's what I do. And then that's my last little tip, really. Fantastic, thank you. So yes, Kerry, we need a uniform. We need to sort that business logo out and put some little words underneath it. And yeah, we will take that tip on board. Thank you very much. So I've just got some really random questions for you now. I'm just going to throw them in there. Are you an early bird or a night owl? Night owl. Wow. So what's the first thing you do when you wake up? The first thing I do when I wake up is I put on the radio. Oh. I listen to Radio 2 because I'm old now. So I listen to Radio 2 in the morning and allow myself to wake up. Nice one. I like that. When do you have your lunch, and do you have the same thing pretty much every day? I have my lunch anytime between 12 and 2, depending. At the moment, because I'm in the office in the mornings, I have my lunch when I get home. And at the moment, yes, pretty well, I have soup every day. Homemade soup, because we have a soup maker. Nice. It's cool. Very nice, very nice. And this one's one of those ones you think, oh, I'd rather be able to think about that. So how do you define a successful day? But I'm going to put a twist on that. Was today a successful day? Today was a successful day. I'll let you explain. Right, well, today is Wednesday, and Wednesday is Nana Day, and it's also Sausage Wednesday. So fortunately, I've got a childcare bubble with my 2 lovely grandchildren, so Wednesdays is Nana Days, and we always have sausages, chips and beans for tea.
Amazing. So that was you. That's your definition of a successful
That's a
day.
successful day.
Had the kids
It was
around.
also a successful day at work.
Yeah. So tell us about that as well.
So this morning we had an issue which we resolved, and we got a purchase order for an £18,000 job.
Amazing. So today's a successful day. I like it. I like it. So two sides of it. Thank you for answering those really random questions for me.
You're very welcome.
Good answers. So we shall wrap up this chat with Pascha. Thank you so much for joining us, Pascha. We will put this in the group as a recording, and if anybody has got any questions for Pascha, please do share them in the video recording, and I'm sure she'll get back to you.
Yeah.
For the rest of us, we will open up to a Q&A, but we will finish the recording now. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.